I'm sitting here watching in the comments section a conversation about what atheism is and what it is not. Atheism versus anti theism. Is atheism a declaration that there is no God, there can be no God? Is it simply the lack of a belief in a God? Are you an agnostic atheist, a gnostic atheist? Are you something else, a religious non secular, etc.? There are so many different discussions around this one word. For me, it's easy. And I don't really care what you call yourself as long as you're out there thinking for yourself. Atheism means I don't believe in a God. And then I can say, I definitely know that certain gods don't exist. We know the Bible God is bullshit. We know that the Quranic God is bullshit. We know, right? Debunked gods. But the idea that there's a God out there somewhere, whatever. I mean, if that God exists, that God wasn't interested in us to begin with, and you can just piss off, right? If there's a deistic watchmaker God out there that's kind of like, I started everything and now let them suffer, and I'm going to go over here and whatever. God can piss off. It makes no difference to me whatsoever. It has no impact in my life. Anti-theism, that's question's interesting. Maybe I'm an anti-theist. I mean, theistic God claims have done so much damage. But I also know some people who profess to believe in Jesus, and they have manufactured their own Jesus, which is all love and light and helping the poor and feeding the hungry and welcoming the immigrant and doing good works. That's still a religion. That's still a form of theism. And we can get lost in the weeds all day on this stuff. Anyway, that's not why I was going to start the show, but I just happened to look up going, oh, wow, look, everybody's talking about what atheism means. I don't believe in a God. That's easy. Piece of cake. All right. Piece of cake. Whatever's on your mind. If you want to chat today, the switchboard is wide open. The number is in the show title and in the description box of the broadcast. I have been struggling with sleep lately. Maybe you have as well. And it's all about the state of the world, the state of things. This insanity. And every day I think maybe it can't get worse. And then I wake up and, oh, look, our troops have been deployed to a new city and they kick somebody else's door down and zip tied their 5-year-old or whatever. You know, the president wants the jailing of our mayors and governors around the country. It's a war from within. It's an impending civil war. I watched the film, Alex Garland's movie from a couple of years ago, Civil War. I don't think it was supposed to be a documentary. But if you watch it, and the film is very clever in the way that it doesn't assign a specific incident, a cause, doesn't name political parties. It is the kind of film where it can apply across the board. And it talks about a United States where it is us versus them. A lot of times you don't even know who the enemy is. Some cities are on fire while other parts of the country are totally peaceful. And those folks are in denial that a civil war is even happening. They've got their head in the sand. The normalization of terror in this country. Civil War is a terrifying little movie. And it kind of feels like it may be, I don't know. I hope it never becomes an actual documentary for this country, but we have become acclimated. And I think I cannot shut it off. 3 a.m. God, how much long, how worse, I just don't. And then I get up and I wander around and then I make the mistake of logging on to social media. Well, that's a nightmare. So then I'm like, no, I'm going to go do something else. I've been watching again a movie that chills me out, The Big Lebowski. Jeff Bridges has been on the speaking circuit to promote the new Tron movie. And so I was thinking of him. I kind of was excited about Tron Ares. Didn't care at all for Tron Legacy. Thought it was a wasted opportunity. Flashy, expensive. I didn't give a shit. I just didn't care, which is a huge problem with big effects, blockbuster type films, right? You don't care. How often are we like, wow, that was expensive. That's big. I don't give a shit. That's exactly how I felt about Tron Legacy. The only good thing about that film over the effects was the soundtrack by Daft Punk, which is legendary. And I have it in my car. I'm driving along all the time. All the time I'm listening to that. And they say the soundtrack, who did the new one? Is it Nine Inch Nails did the soundtrack for the new? But they're saying the film is not good. Empty calories. And I don't, but Jeff Bridges is out there. And he did this thing on Jimmy Fallon where Jimmy was like, look, I want you to give some advice to the world in character as the dude from Big Lebowski. And so he puts on the dude sweater and he's got the sunglasses and they bring him out his favorite drink, which is a White Russian. And he's sitting there going, hey, man, we just need to dial it down, man. We need to just, we're at a 9. We need to go down to like a half. Everybody just needs to abide with each other. I think one of his great lines was, we need to make sure that ice is only in our glasses. All right. We need to get rid of ice out there. We need to put ice in our glasses. And it was that kind of thing. And having seen the Big Lebowski 30 times, I'm smiling ear to ear. So I told Natalie, you know what would help me with my Zen? I need a Big Lebowski sweater. And she's just staring at me. What are you talking about? No. It's the Big Lebowski sweater, and these things are for sale. And they're knockoffs, and I guess there's a name brand that's really expensive that nobody really needs. But you can find the dude's sweater. I'm a dudist priest. I am registered as an officiant. I could conduct weddings if I wanted as clergy with the Church of the Latter-day Dude, which is a registered religion. Okay. I'm a dude. I'm a dudist priest. The problem is I've been having a hard time abiding, right? Keeping my mind limber, as he says in the movie, because of all the shit that's going on. So I've been browsing and I'm about to send Natalie a link and go, okay, when Christmas gets here for $46, I would like a sweater from the Big Lebowski. I'm just saying. FYI, this weekend, Sacramento, California, I'm going to be part of a lineup on the Capitol steps for California Free Thought Day. If you are anywhere near that region, freethoughtday.org has all the details that you need. Next week, Ghost Stories releases, an annual tradition. Always excited to see that sucker go out. I'm a little pissed right now. I log on to YouTube. I'm just going to gripe a little bit. I do not understand a culture where YouTube decides that is something that pushes anybody's button or steps a toe over this subjectively drawn line where something is too controversial, then they say, "Oh, are now not in violation," because they don't drop or delete the video, but they say you have disqualified yourself from monetizing the video. Now, for those who are not aware, those little ads that are usually a pain in the ass, I'll admit, the ones you click and skip ad, those who don't use ad blockers probably realize that you are actually helping people who post online to monetize what they do, which is one of the reasons I'm able to be a full-time activist, is because the advertisers that Spreaker assigns to my podcast and the ads that are assigned by Google to the YouTube videos that I release, these produce revenue, and they're part of the streams that feed the river. They allow me to pay the bills, right? And it is our hope that the videos that are more popular, I can spend weeks on the Brown Mansion ghost hunt video. I can spend weeks on it, and I did. It took a long time. It was a labor of love. 5,000 views. You know what I'm saying? That's just how it goes. I know I'm not going to make anything. I lost money on that sucker. Okay, fine. But I interviewed Dave Farina, the science educator. And that thing's got, I think we're up to 70, 80,000 views. Well, I'll take that. That's good news. And he talks about everything from RFK Jr. to Joe Rogan to Bill Maher, etc. And I titled the video "The Scumbags I've Debunked" because Farina, he doesn't hold back and he calls these people scumbags, etc. Right? So I put it in the title. I get a message, an email notice from YouTube. Your video has been demonetized due to a violation of our advertising guidelines, etc. So they just yanked every freaking piece of revenue I'm going to get off that. For what? For what? For the word scumbags? Are you shitting me? Like, in the arena of ideas, we have come to a point where YouTube, etc., are thinking in reverse of how they should think. And I'm just going to throw it out here, all right? Because we've seen clickbaiters left and right who have successfully somehow worked the system. But I would think the more controversial your title and the more extreme your content and the more provocative your video thumbnail is, the more people click on it and the more the advertiser gets exposed to a potential audience, which means everybody wins. Google makes money as if they need more, and the content creators get money. We see people all the time who know somehow how to work this system without getting tagged. Somebody teach me that. They can have a nothing video and they know how to do a specific tag, title, thumbnail, and it gets a squillion views and somebody gets paid. Meanwhile, I'm talking to a science communicator about issues of the day, like vaccines, and YouTube says, ha, 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 you have crossed the line. Our advertisers would want nothing to do with you. Pull the plug. Just, I swear to you, just irritates me. Irritates me. And then I'm having this conversation about what's going to happen to content creators that this administration is now deeming anti-Christian and anti-American. And they do blend those things together. I saw an article in The Week that was published about God and country nationalism that's going on. This is not news to you. We've been talking about it for years. I'm not going to beat that dead horse. But I am talking about after Fallon was dropped, I canceled Disney. I don't know if it makes any difference. I don't need Disney. I'm saying I'm pissed at Disney. You spineless cockroaches. What the hell is wrong with? What's the matter with these people? And I have noted I'm not going to go back and resubscribe since Fallon was brought back in because I think you don't deserve me, and it doesn't make any difference. No, but it maybe makes me feel better. Colbert, they cancel his show, right? And we see now this targeting of dissents, people who dare to come forward and say, we're not a Christian nation. I'm not even a Christian. Maybe we're not just citizens within these subjectively drawn borders, but maybe we're citizens of the world and we should not be shitty to each other. By the way, I resist authoritarian dictator, tyrants, grifter kings. I would just like that on the record. So then Donald Trump says, okay, there is now a war on Christianity, #religious liberty. And then we begin at the top, the cancellation. We're seeing it happening in all these strict requirements that are going on in universities. We're seeing it happen in the media. We know the billionaires and squillionaires out there, they're not going to act in our interest. They're going to act in their own interest. These elite broligarchs, they're going to decide that X and Facebook, etc., are going to serve whatever end they want. Talk about too much power. And it's true. Elon Musk at X could decide, okay, I would like to get in the good graces of the founding fondler, Donald Trump. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do an algorithm that finds everything that can be deemed anti-Christian, which might be hate speech, which could be called an incitement to violence, which according to Stephen Miller would equate to domestic terrorism. And then pull the plug. Your account's gone. Every chance to get your message out is gone. Any chance to monetize anything you do is gone. Right? Or they can just shadow ban you. They can use the algorithms to make sure you're there. You just don't get seen. Zuckerberg, don't tell me that guy's got a moral compass. He's up in the cabinet room at the White House with his head so far up Donald Trump's ass, he could check for cavities. You think he's going to operate in our interests? No, he's going to operate in his own. And if he wants special favors, if he wants to maneuver himself in a specific way by playing to this whole war on Christianity, the anti-Christians out there, the domestic terrorist, liberal, democratic, left, progressive, woke people out there, if he wants to do that, he can then say, okay, fine. I'm going to either shadow ban all of these atheist channels, any channel that's not a Christian nationalist advocate channel, or I'm going to call them hate speech and dump them. You know, Elon could welcome Alex Jones back. Yay, free speech. But he might turn around then and say, anybody who runs an atheist channel, bye, you're gone. And he would have the power to do that. He's got what is his new net worth number? $500 billion. It's obscene. Somebody could be a wealth hoarder like that, a power hoarder in a world with this much suffering. And you and I are dangling on the string. What in the world is the number of media companies that own, I think, the top 6? There are 6 companies that own 90% of all the media in this world. There are 6 companies that own it. I remember back when I was doing FM radio. This was actually before I got in 90. This was during the 80s. Reagan, he was in power, and he went and deregulated the broadcasting industry. All right. He's like, there's too much governmental interference, free market, right? So he went in and he said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to deregulate it so anybody can play. It's going to be amazing. These people can be what they want to be and they can start their own stations, and it's going to be a democratization of the entire process. And you know what happened 5 seconds after he deregulated? A few billionaire companies said, woo, the rules are now gone. They went in and sucked up all the properties. They just vacuumed up the industry. They control the flow of information. They control in many ways who's out there, who can be seen and heard. In some cases, what can be said and what cannot be said. And I'm looking at this going, the game has changed for people like me. What in the world happens if they decide, hate speech, right? Do I have anti-Christian bias? Maybe. But I would like to say actually more, it's that I have seen Christianity from the inside out. I know it's a debunked and often harmful mythology, and nothing is sacred in the arena of ideas. A free speech culture allows and even welcomes my voice to be able to say, this is a steamy pile of crap, and people should reject it because it's simply untrue. And there's some really problematic stuff attached to it, right? Is that anti-Christian bias, or am I an opponent of at least fundamental Christianity because I understand what the hell it is and how it works? That's not bias, is it? I don't think it's bias. And then how do we get past the oligarchs? What Heather Cox Richardson calls the broligarchs. How do we get past them to get the word out? So I know a lot of people who are in journalism have sort of split off to Substack. Is Substack going to be a part of that? I mean, I don't know. Are we going to change the world on Substack? I've got an article that's been useful, or a channel with articles, a page rather. But let's say they just decide YouTube, X, Facebook, under this new regime, the Gestapo, the American Gestapo, whatever, they show up. And even if they don't throw us into the back of a van, they decide, all right, fine, we are going to remove your voice, your online voice, and the ability to do what you do with any effectiveness. Then what happens? Natalie and I had that conversation. Holy shit. Do we then deplete our savings to survive while we put the house on the market and try to find a place to live? And what else is going to happen? And what happens if I re-enter the workplace as a producer again? What happens with if a potential employer Googles my name? Do they want that attached to a new employee? Maybe, not in this state, probably. So then, can you afford to live somewhere else? Well, I've we've looked elsewhere, and every time we go to some place that's bluer or prettier, the price doubles or triples. I will say this for Oklahoma, it's got a pretty good cost of living. We get overwhelmed. Like, what if? What if? And then we think, no, it'll never happen. It'll never happen. Well, we're going to be fine. I would be grieved by the opportunity, not having the opportunity to be able to do what I love and what I'm passionate about full time. I had I was part of a survey, oh gosh, years ago. There was a university survey about atheists in the online space. And one of the questions was, and I hear this from apologists, well, don't you take money for what you do? As if somehow that's what that nullifies the things that are being said. And I'm like, well, full-time musicians love music. They make music. They want to change the world through music. The goal is to see them be able to do music full time as an artist. We see this with painters. An author writes a book, and the marketplace says we would like to read what's in that book, and it becomes popular enough for them to be able to be a full-time author. That's the goal. That's the dream. Does that mean the authors and the artists and the musicians? What about pastors? Jesus, pastors on stage don't have to hear this bullshit. You're a pastor who receives a salary. You must be a sellout. Do you hear that in this country? No. You hear, wow, he's a full-time pastor. He's able to commit himself to what he truly believes in. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. He's meeting a need, providing a service, and he's able to speak to his own passions. Wonderful, wonderful. I'm sorry. If you're going to go after people like me, you have just canceled out every full-time or even part-time pastor on the planet. You hypocrites. God. So what do you think about this culture that we're in? Do you think that we are going to get, we're shadow banned at least? The algorithms are going to just go and push us out of the picture? And they'll say, well, you're not banned. We don't know what's going on. No, we haven't manipulated anything at all. It's just maybe your opinions aren't that popular in this Christian nation. I can hear him say it. I can hear him say it. I would welcome your thoughts on this and anything else that you want to talk about, I would like to talk about. And so we begin. And you in the chat, if you cannot hear my caller, let me know, and I'm going to press a couple of extra buttons. But I think I've got it. I've got Brett calling out of Salt Lake City at 8:01. Brett, are you there?
Hey, I'm here, Seth. Can you hear me?
I can. Welcome. What's on your mind?
Hey, yeah, it was just kind of interesting. I subscribed to your podcast, and I went to click on it. All of a sudden, YouTube said, oh, this is something to the effect of banned or direct. I don't know exactly what it said. I just saw the phone number on it, but I couldn't get the YouTube video to come up at all, which I thought was very interesting. I've never had that issue.
I'm not sure I understand
any of your YouTube.
Was it on this? Was it on this stream, Brett, or was it on another video?
Yeah, on this. No, it was on this stream right now. I'm actually up in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, at a conference, and I saw the notification come up. So I clicked on it, and it immediately said this video is unavailable due to directory content or something to that effect. But then it had your phone number down below it for calling in, which I thought was kind of strange. So you tell me what's going on.
What does that even mean? I have no idea.
I have no clue. I know. Every time I have jumped on your podcast, I've had no issues. And then all of a sudden, this just came up. And I thought,
Tell me what
now,
the warning
that's
was again. Hang, let me
really
see if
weird.
it comes up. What was the warning?
Uh,
What did it say?
It said something to the effect of this video content is unavailable due to something along the lines of director. Um, uh, I'm trying to think. It kind of happened quick. I'm doing about
No, it's all
10
good.
different
I hate to
things
put
right
you on
now
the
at this
spot like
conference.
that.
So, but I just thought it was very odd that all of a sudden your podcast, I couldn't get it on YouTube.
Well,
You
I'm
know,
watching the chat. Other people have been able to get in. They're asking about parental controls. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. So, I tend to take an Occam's razor position like, well, it
right?
could have something to do with the browser or something else that's going on. But if you see
Yeah,
that
but
again, would you screenshot the error and shoot me an email,
yes,
seth@sethandrews.com? I would sure like to see that.
absolutely, absolutely, I'd do that. But I just thought it was very interesting. And like you say, as a former Reformed Mormon now, I was in it a little bit longer than you were as far as religious stuff goes. But yeah, I ended up 60 plus years in it.
Wow.
And before I did my deconstruction and that, and just like you said, when I started looking at what the Mormon Church or the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, whatever you want to call it, their swing towards more Christian nationalism and stuff in their publications and that, it's getting downright damn frightening as all
Yeah.
get out, seeing what's going on.
Yeah, I had a friend I was talking to yesterday, and he's like, and he was right. Historically, when we see extremism go is where it's going, the pendulum will eventually crash back well in the other direction. My problem is it very often doesn't do that without bloodshed, without,
Yes.
people getting hurt and killed. Somebody storms the Bastille kind of thing. And I'm thinking right now, we are right there on the razor's edge. Do I think eventually things will crash back in the other direction? Yeah, but the damage done, and then will we see an American Civil War in the year 2025, 26? I have real fears about that, Brett. FYI, I was looking in the chat. Apparently, according to AJ, you might be able to clear your browser cache and it may work. And
Okay.
someone else said VPNs occasionally are a problem when you're trying to access certain videos. That's a starting point, and then we'll watch the comment sections and see if anything else pops up. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good, Seth. Hey,
All right.
keep up with everything you're doing, man. We need your voice.
You're very kind.
So
Thank you.
it's awesome that you're out there doing this.
All right. Be
So
safe on your
keep up the
travels.
strong
We'll see you
work.
later. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Take care. Bye.
One thing that I have been doing just on the side, well, I've been asked over the years, you've heard me talk about being a humanist wedding officiant. And that has been able to make up for a little bit of what YouTube is not giving me. And that's been kind of cool. I just put a wedding officiant page on my personal website. And there are people who they don't want a freaking pastor to come out and conduct the wedding. And they don't want to hire some nobody. They want somebody that they can trust, who can throw some sentences in a row and won't muck it up. And so they're like, hey, would Seth come do it? I did my first wedding, I guess 6 years ago, and it was so much fun. I'm one of those guys, whenever I've gone into weddings for my whole life, I've always thought about all the things that should be done differently. You know, Timmy Gibson has been on this channel. He's a wedding officiant. He's an ex-evangelical who is now doing critical videos of Christianity, etc., and helping people on that journey, along with me and some others. And we were talking about how so many weddings are just like so vanilla. These homogenized things. The ring is a symbol. And let's read out of Corinthians: love is patient, love is kind, love abides, blah blah blah. Love Never Fails. And then there's a prayer. And then Shania Twain, from this moment I have been blessed. And then there's a unity candle. And then they kneel at the altar. And then there's the same song for the intro and the outro. And there's almost no personality to it. And you've got a guy. How many times have we talked about this with funerals? Will the pastor co-opt somebody's wedding to give a freaking salvation message? Well, God looks down upon us. And we can have a union with Jesus if we drop to our knees and say, "Dear God, save my soul." By the way, do you take this man? Do you take this woman? Right? We see it all the time. And I would be in the audience going, "God, geez, let me come up and finish this. I got this." So when I was invited to officiate my first wedding and I got registered I'm also registered with the Universal Life Church, which is not a church. It's just kind of a blanket everything where you can get registered and recognized in all 50 states. I went up and I was like, yeah, I'm able to do all the shit that I wish everybody else would do. And it wasn't an anti-religious thing. We had religious family members show up and they're giving me the side eye. Who is this guy? Then they Google my name. Oh my God, I can't believe that they brought this man into our wedding. What's going to happen? Our daughter, our son, how have they desecrated this holy union? And then after it's all over, the same people who were giving me the side eye come up and they give me a great big hug. And they're like, wow, how much fun was that? What a wonderful message. What a wonderful ceremony. Hey, please stay as a guest in our home. It happens almost every time. And so I maybe do 3 or 4 weddings a year, and I'm starting to do more. And so it's something that if you are on the hunt for an officiant who won't, turn the altar into a soapbox or doesn't even use an altar or doesn't necessarily want to go into a church and doesn't jam the message with Godspeak and makes it about you and has a lot of fun doing it, I'm your guy. And so I've got a wedding page, an officiant page on my website. It's sethandrews.com. And thanks to the folks, the couples who allowed me to be a part of their memories, because that's really cool for me. I look back at the photos when they pop up on Facebook memories and we're there, and it's just cool. It's very, very cool. I was, in fact, one of the more recent weddings I did was for Objectively Dan, who was part of the Street Epistemology website, and he and his bride, we just had so much fun. I'm just going on. Let's see who's next. 313. I'm going to say it's Gary. Gary, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Let's talk. What's on your mind?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Well, after your little rant there, I'm not sure the same thing is. I was going to talk about the YouTube thing, but now it just seems so small in comparison.
No, talk to me. What was on your mind when you dialed in?
Well, YouTube is canceling everybody. I mean, look at it. You can't talk like a human being on YouTube anymore. You have to talk like a brain-addled 3-year-old that's been hit too many times for telling the truth. You can't use common words like DEATH, for example, will get you demonetized. It's stupid. I'm waiting for somebody with common sense and that green stuff that's so popular to replace it, because it needs replacing.
Well, I doubt that's ever going to happen. I mean, I don't know. It might. I am interested in how when we post things. You doing okay over there, Gary?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening.
All right, just checking on you. I'm hearing some respiratory sounds and want to make sure that everything's good.
I have issues. Just
no. I figured as much. I just want to make sure you're okay. So, I have seen on social media where if you say hot button words, that they have to put a strike through them or blur them out so that they don't get kicked in the head by the algorithm. They don't get shadow banned or they don't get deleted outright for being inappropriate or offensive. I'm a bit worried about this idea of us bubble wrapping the world. And it's a fine line and it's situational. Some people are like, well, this is just a courtesy. There are other people who have gone through trauma, and we have to make sure that we're not doing anything that is going to cause anxiety to anybody who might be browsing. And to a degree, I totally get that. I think content warnings have served us. When I give a speech and I'm going to show a slide, there was one I remember I showed with someone who had gotten a horrible burn on their body. And before I do that, I will say, now I'm going to show you an intense slide. If you don't want to look, turn your head right now and I will tell you when it's okay to look back. I think content warnings are useful in a lot of ways, but anytime you see a healthy reaction, you will see an overreaction. And I think we have spilled into a point where we are bubble wrapping the world, where we are infantilizing people all around us. And at some point, and I know psychologists have a lot of conversations about this, it becomes maladaptive for people who have been traumatized, who have been through some shit. It becomes maladaptive for the rest of the world to bend over backwards all the time to make sure that they are not uncomfortable. It is not necessarily my responsibility to always understand or keep you in a place of like a mental neutral line. At some point, it becomes maladaptive. People who have been through some shit have to adapt, have to overcome. It's part of a healing. It's part of an overcoming and an empowerment model. And so do I think it helps people who have been impacted by suicide to see the word suicide struck on a Facebook post? Well, they know what the word is. It's not helping anybody. I think it's almost like when you watch movies and somebody bleeps out the swear word that everybody knows what it is. I think at some point we've just gotten ridiculous. And I think YouTube qualifies. I think Facebook qualifies. A whole lot of platforms qualify. And I would like to see an alternative or a replacement, Gary, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. Do you?
Yeah. I'm not on Facebook. I've never been on Facebook, and their security issues are enough to keep me off. So yeah, I can do without Facebook. But YouTube, I spend a lot of time on. I actually pay for the premium, so I'm not buried in ads.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, it is. I go by a simple principle that don't be offensive and don't be easily offended. And I find that gets me by 99% of the world. I mean, and yes, the infantilization, my mouth doesn't want to work today.
Infantilization, I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, of the internet is getting to the point where what the bots aren't doing, the censors are. I run a small forum for me and my friends. My ISP had to basically ban all bots because they were just eating up everything.
Can you ban
hitting my
bots?
site again and again and again?
Can you root them out?
Yeah, you can.
Oh, programs?
Yes, you can.
Interesting.
So I don't know what your web arrangements are, obviously, but I went through my web host, and they did that. They basically said the bots couldn't get at my website anymore.
All right. Well,
I've got my own
to look into.
I've got my own. I've got my own domain, which I have no interest in pushing because it's kind of a me and my friends thing. And yeah, the bots are eating the internet. I don't think that is a controversial statement at all. We're going to have to start Internet 2 for the people.
That's a big ask. You bring me to an interesting place, though, that I'm going to talk about for just a little bit, and I appreciate that, Gary. Was there anything else before I move on, my friend?
Yeah. Say hi to Larry the Skeleton for me.
Larry the Skeleton as part of my Halloween display?
Yes.
I will. I will go out and we'll do a bony high five, which sounds vaguely naughty. Have a wonderful day, Gary.
Just don't
We'll
knock
catch
him
you later.
over.
We'll see you later.
You too.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
So there is a theory that in the era of deep fakes, I was reading an article that just terrified me a few days ago. And on the thumbnail was the image of a beautiful woman, maybe 30, who was not real. The face looked real, but she was AI. She was created by AI. And the conversation has been happening about what is going to happen in this. It's already beginning to happen when anybody anywhere can operate without having to involve a human being because they have an analog that looks like a human being. We know that Hollywood is scrambling to somehow protect images and faces, right? George Clooney, he's $20 million for a movie. We can go over here. We can make an AI Clooney that'll look and sound just like him. We'll make our own movie and pay nothing. How much protection does George Clooney have? If they make George do something that is absolutely heinous and horrible or wrong or stupid or whatever, and it explodes on the internet, then the bullshit asymmetry principle kicks in because it's a whole lot harder to debunk a lie than it is to just lie in the first place. So that's chaos. Next, we have revenge porn, often literal revenge porn, where if someone decides they want to map a woman's face onto an AI video of a woman being raped, or map her into a porn movie, or, anybody, male or female, you want to map them into a porn scene and release them doing the most, outrageous, that let's say they spill from straight adult entertainment into degradation and violence and something that's just untoward, inhuman, but they map somebody else's face on it. What recourse do they have? And then another question came up in a conversation. What about pedophiles? Some monster creates a digital face that is not an actual child and creates child porn with it, and then keeps those videos on their hard drive. The cops break in and say, you're under arrest. What is the person arrested for? Because no actual child was exploited, right? What does the law say about that? And I don't know the answer. There may be a law that speaks to that, but it's terrifying. Because then the monsters among us can say, well, I didn't hurt anybody. No actual human being was involved. I just kind of made one up from scratch. I can have my bizarre, horrible, monstrous fantasies without hurting anyone else. How does the law speak to that? Oh, it's terrifying. And then, with all of this insanity going on, and the fact that we seem to know how to abuse technology even more than we use it, will we see colonies, communities, and cultures splinter off that reject technology? I'm unplugging from the internet. I'm giving up my cell phone. I am off the grid. I'm going to go over here. We're going to have a, neighborhood, town, city, community, region, culture that operates beyond all of the chaotic, crazy, and many times offensive stuff that's happening in the technological world. And we're going to get back to being human beings. And I hate to bring up Star Trek Insurrection because it's not a very good movie. But one of the conceits of the film is that the enlightened culture is the one that said when you replace humans with technology, you aren't fully able to be human. You're not able to be fully alive, right? I think he uses the word the man. I don't know if the Baku were men or women or they had another name. They weren't Bajoran. All right, we're going to call them men and women. And their idea was, we're going to live in these little adobe huts, and we're going to spend 30 years learning how to paint and make quilts and shit like that. And we're going to enjoy the wonders of nature together and get back to just living our lives far from the trappings of technology. And I wonder if we're going to see subcultures that resist the oligarchs and the algorithms and all those things, and they're going to become little pods. And then what happens if those pods that are by definition not going to have resources, right? If they're not running around trying to make $1 squillion, if they're not wired in, if they're not influencers, if few people know who they are and what they're doing, then are they even more easy meat for the billionaire abusers who decide they're going to come in and steamroll right over him? And what does that look like? This is the reason I need a Big Lebowski dude sweater, because I think about this stuff all day and all night. You know what I'm saying? I think about it all the time. I cannot shut it off. I need a switch. I need a toggle. Can I just shut it off? Can I just sit around, drink some hot chocolate, sing campfire songs, pet the dog, pet the cat? How do I shut it? How do you shut it off? How do you shut it off? I'm going to say Gilbert is calling in at 210. Is that right, Gilbert?
Yes, sir. Down here in Texas.
Welcome to the show, and my condolences. Very sorry for your loss under Greg Abbott down there. Did I hear that Abbott was authorizing National Guard troops to go and invade Illinois? I think I read that yesterday. That's a joy.
Hot Wheels is make a statement. I don't know what he's trying to do.
Well,
then you got
I'm not going to dog Abbott for being in a wheelchair. That's not fair. But I will dog Abbott for being a horrible human being. So, go ahead, Gilbert. What's on your mind?
Like I said, I appreciate your program and your channel. I hope you don't. They're trying to censor everybody. Going back to Kimmo and Colbert and a lot of people on the YouTube. I've been struck a couple of times, but I don't give a shit. Mm-hmm. I've only been an atheist since 2019. I'm 64 now, and like I said, we're all born atheists, and then we're programmed, and the shit's thrown down our throats. Like, I remember what Lenny Bruce said back in '62. If Jesus would have been crucified 20 years prior to that, we'd all be wearing electric chairs around our necks. Yeah. Just your thought on that. I mean, I only read a bit of David Hume's writings, and read a lot of Voltaire's, like the encyclopedia. His encyclopedia he wrote during his time. And I mean, if you tell some of these Christian buttheads, they come at you with Jesus, and you tell them, well, we're all born atheists, you can see their brains hitting their foreheads at like 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I just want to say that, go ahead, sir.
I've heard the claim that we're all born atheists. I'm there. I think there's more to it, in the fact that Dr. John Wathy has written a book called The Illusion of God's Presence that talks about how there are evolutionary triggers in the brain that can be activated externally, which will cause many people to respond, even as adults, in an infantile way to a guardian, authority, or parental figure. And his book is super thick. But do I think some people, do we evolve to filling gaps in our knowledge, and do sometimes those gaps get filled with gods? Are there tendencies that lean people into the belief in a cosmic other out there? We're all born atheists. I understand. I agree. But I mean, belief is messy. And I think a lot of it speaks to how we have evolved. It doesn't mean that it was rational. It just means we were ignorant. What was it Christopher Hitchens said? It was religions were our first explanation for everything, but because they were our first, they were our worst, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
And it goes like David Hume, because a lot of these Christian nationalists wear their Jesus in like one of those little pocket pouches that they could pull out at the drop of a hat, or someone says, "God bless you." I don't put anything to that, you know.
Yeah, I don't
But they
sweat
want
that.
to be in life.
God bless you. Have a blessed day. Be blessed. I don't
Yeah.
trip on that stuff. Hey, appreciate it. You know, have a good day. Thanks for the goodwill, you know. So
No, I don't respond to it at all. If I do, I say, "Go fuck yourself." With what's going down here at the border with the, you know, these Christians, they call themselves Christians trying to get into a free country, and yet it's the Christians, these Christian nationalists, that are persecuting them. I mean, ripping their families apart, you know, down here in Texas, putting the killer ducks along the border, you know, and they're applauding the death of people along the border and call it, like Dylan said, God on our side, you know?
it is definitely a
how do
culture
you
of
see that?
cruelty, Gilbert. It definitely is. I agree with that. I'm going to move on to my next call, though, and I appreciate you very
All
much.
right,
You
sir.
be safe down there south of us, okay?
Here we go.
All right. We'll see you later. Dale at 858. You've been very patient. Are you there?
I am.
Let's talk. What's on your mind?
Is it awesome? But first, I wanted to say thank you. My name is Dale, by the way, and I just wanted to say thank you. Your book. I come out of the Midwest and had a long struggle with Southern Baptist bringing up, and it was very intense. I like to equate it as the ISIS of Christianity. If we step around and look at what everything is, your efforts, and I happen to notice in the chat, I saw Matt Dillahunty's name come out, and I appreciate the work you all are doing, because you provide a stability and a place where people can hear honesty and clarity. One of the things I really enjoyed so much about listening to you this morning was to hear your voice shake, because you are exasperated, and I think about these things all the time too. I can't shut it off. And what I found was that I did have to step away from the constant wheel turning of going through YouTube. I have no social media. I have no TV. So I get less poison from these click-ins. But I do have a YouTube, and I go through it, and I use it as a way to express myself. But you're throughout my life, you, Christopher Hitchens, the various representatives that are actually the voice of reason. I'm very happy that you found me, and I actually have to say saved me from the situation I was in with religion. And I'm dealing with a lot of things that happened, and it is the religious version of the Taliban and the ISIS. It's just on the other side of the river. With so many things that are going on right now, I'd like to say, even with the technology, it's a new frontier. And we have to understand that, yes, it's nice to be terrified of the new frontier, but humans and their evolution, there's going to be casualties from the first time we ate the berry. Hey, give it to Mike, let him eat it. If he passes out, don't eat that berry. We have to experiment and play. Yes, it's dangerous. And you brought up some very good points about technology. I also wanted to bring up a transitional thing. I am so happy in a way that I'm able to live in a generation where we can watch a certain way and a certain approach to life. And I'm going to say those born prior to around 1965. That way of life and this ideology is becoming history. And we are watching the last of this. We are actually watching the 80s die right now, which is beneficial and encouraging to us, because the people sitting in the middle of this have to take our children, who, if you've noticed, our children have been protected by us because we know how crappy our bringing up was. So we're trying to protect our children, and now we overprotected them. And they're playing with new technology where we're coming out of a day we could not talk to each other. I'm talking into a box. This is Star Trek to me. A cell phone. I remember the first time I sent a text. So we have to realize we are children playing with toys that are so much beyond our capabilities and our understandings at the moment. The only way we can learn is to push the envelope. I'm not happy with what's happening in the United States. I've had to tell my foreign-born wife and my mixed son, you guys have to be careful. This place is dangerous. And they didn't believe me until they got here. And it's so unfortunate that I watched our country in a figurative manner switch from 2025 to 1936. It just is so crystal clear. As we watch through all of our generations, though, and the way you said, how do you get through it every day? Well, it's terrifying. One, as an atheist, that reality and the knowing that I don't have anything after I'm done here. Everything I do, whether it's good or bad, has to be done on this life. Just like Carl Sagan said, everything humanity was on this pale blue dot. And when you think about how small we are and how violent the individual feels inside as opposed to how small we are in the big universe, we all need to really kind of chill out and say, hey, our next step, because we are all going to have to get off this rock eventually, and we're going to poison it. People are like a cancer, a virus on this place. So eventually we're going to have to go somewhere else. If we don't figure it out, then we're going to end up having another group of life dig us out of the ground like we are doing the dinosaurs. And in the meantime, other people like you and Christopher Hitchens, Matt Dillahunty, Aaron Raw. I mean, I'm going through a list of people that have been so important in my life and in what you're doing. I can't say it took me weeks to make this phone call. I happened to see your number weeks ago, and I didn't have the strength to do it. But to see you sitting there, I owe this man a thank you for what he did. And I want you to let you know every single day when I come out and I hear the voice of reason from you gentlemen and you ladies out there who don't believe in fairy tales and fantasies, I appreciate it all across the country, all across the world, because we have to be, and we have to take our moral compass, which comes from nowhere but within ourselves and our conscience. And we have to take that moral compass and the strength of who we are as a generation and say, this is where we can have a community. This is where, brother, you're a brother, sister, you're a sister. I don't care what color you are. I don't care where you put your genitals. I don't care what you do with them, as long as you do it legally. Unfortunately, we have leaders in a system right now that have problems with that. Their moral compass is off. And thank goodness for conscience, because I think we've lost our conscience. Seth, thank you for letting me ramble and go on. I hope I didn't waste your time.
No, I'm just sitting back here, just soaking it in. Dale, you're very kind. Thanks for the generous words, and be safe. And we'll talk again, okay, my friend?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, take care. I always get a little squirmy when I hear my name in the same sentence as Hitchens. It's not hero worship. I just know Hitchens was an encyclopedia. It was just amazing. I still go back and watch Hitch's older video. Well, I mean, they're all older videos. We lost him, I think, in 2011. But his debates and his speeches and his presentations, and they still inspire me and inform me. But his recall, and then his ability to be able to, even if I didn't always agree with Hitch. We split on the Iraq War and some other things. But overall, I think this guy was an intellectual giant. And I don't think that's not hero worship. It's just, holy shit, he was something very special. So I don't like hearing my name. And I mean, I'm thankful, I'm grateful, but you know what I'm saying? I'm just a guy, didn't graduate from Oxford, didn't write for Vanity Fair. I don't have a Wikipedia in my brain for cultural, social, historical, and religious references far and wide. I'm not as funny as him. You know what I'm saying? But I remain a fan. I remain a fan. Let's see. Joe is dialing in from 201 Pennsylvania. Is that right, Joe?
Yeah, that's right.
Welcome. What's on your mind?
Thank you. I called in a little late, but I've been wanting to get on your show and say hello to you, and thank you so much for maybe about 2 years now. And I'm sorry, I will subscribe, I promise, and I will be a Patreon.
It's all good.
But
no, there's no pressure.
When you were talking about
go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. I'm dealing with the two headphones, trying to make sure I stick with you on the time. But when you were talking about the deep fakes, and we're talking about obviously like the blackmail type of stuff where you put someone's face on something and have the words come out. The scariest part to me is, you take a political leader, and if it's done well enough, if it suits your aims, whether you're, Donald Trump or some other right-wing people, and you have maybe a deep fake type of comment from Vladimir Putin or something like that, talking about announcing an attack, something similar like that. The people are going to fall for that stuff, and then it kind of gives you that, like, almost like that false flag kind of reason to attack, so that kind of thing bothers me. And your topic title here, I can see on YouTube, is "Will YouTube cancel atheists?" And I think that's just down the line, and I worry about people like you. And I happen to work for a pretty liberal television network. I won't say it to expose, but yeah, I'm waiting for someday the doors to be locked up and be out of work. But I'll keep it short. There's one burning question I have for you, because first of all, I love your show Open, what it's evolved to, and it has been for a while. And you probably can't disclose a name, but I'm so curious about the woman who says, "I tell the truth because I tell the truth." I just love the way she says that. And I was just curious, like, where you pulled that from, and is it a personal experience, or
no? It's from
you just find it?
Comedy stand-up from Sarah Silverman, who is an atheist who, in her inimitable style, goes after religion. And I can't remember off the top of my head the comedy special, but she was essentially saying, I tell the truth because I tell the truth. I don't need a book, write a magic book to tell me to do it. And I just liked the line. And so I grabbed it and stuck it in the show intro. But that is Sarah Silverman. I encourage you to look up some of her commentary on religion.
I did not recognize the voice, and I just love the way she punctuates that. It's just awesome.
That's good stuff. Well, Joe, I appreciate you. I think you and I are watching the world. We like, what's that line from Ian Malcolm in Jurassic Park, right? Humans like to say, just because we could do something, we don't stop to ask if we should. And I think that may be one of the defining things about human nature. We like to move super fast without considering or caring about the consequences, or I don't know, maybe we want the consequences. Maybe some people are excited about this wild new world. And
I think it's maybe like kind of like watching a train wreck,
I mean, technology is going to bring us, AI's brought us some amazing stuff. I don't want to be that guy. I'm just saying that we tend to, the downside, I worry, is going to outweigh the upside. And I don't think that makes me a stick in the mud.
Yeah.
I think, and this is not, hey, like the invention of the internet. This is something else. This is the ability to lie in a very specific way that is going to create mass chaos and is going to destroy lives.
Yeah.
And it's going to, in a way we've never seen before, protect monsters. And I don't think we can look back at the technologies of our past and people who said, no, books are bad and computers are evil and all these things. I don't think deep fakes, AI, et cetera, fall into that same category. I think they're a unique animal. But Joe, you're much appreciated, and so are your kind words. Be safe in Pennsylvania, okay?
Oh yeah, real quick. I just listened to a podcast where David I think he's from the Atlantic, and he interviewed Sam Harris, who I may not agree with 100%, but it's very interesting about what they're talking about with the deep fakes and AI, especially AI, where IA is we're heading headlong into this. And it's an interesting podcast if you listeners want to.
What was the vibe? Was it concern about what may happen?
Yeah, it was concern. I mean, Sam Harris, kind of like Dawkins, they're kind of against the woke culture, and I consider myself pretty progressive liberal, and I was upset with all the super right wingers and Trumpians who are so deadly against, fairness, wokeness, DEI, but both of them made really good points. Sam Harris is brilliant. I mean, but it was basically about how AI could possibly, change us or take us down this bad pathway. And Sam Harris had a little hope in mankind, that it's going to go this way. It's like, what are you going to do? We're heading this way, and we're just going to have to hopefully wake up at some point, try to do something about it. But it is a little crazy. Luckily, I'm old. I'm 71, and just as an aside, I discovered I was an atheist back in the 60s when I was like 10 years old. I don't know why they came to me at that age, and but I kept going with the I'm an agnostic thing because it was so hard to say in those days. I don't believe in God, I don't, and it's when I stumbled onto you through people like Christopher Hitchens, whatever, and I've been listening to him. He's awesomely funny and brilliant guy, like amazing, like as you just said, his recall books, the knowledge, the quotations, the writers, is just amazing. But I stumbled onto you, and you're a nice, even keel on the subject, and
I try,
and that's refreshing.
Well, you're very kind.
All right, I won't keep you. I'm
Thank
really
you,
glad
Joe.
I got through to you. I've been dreaming of this moment for a while.
Oh man, it's an honor to meet
lot,
you. Hopefully, I'll get a chance to come out east, and we'll shake hands someday. Okay.
Oh, I'll travel to see you one of these days, for sure. But I am a little shy. I used to drive to Florida from New York, is where I'm really from, the New York area, back in the 70s. And I'm telling you, like, you take a movie like Easy Rider, if you've seen it, I'm sure you have.
Oh yeah.
And it was the truth, man. I mean, it may seem sensationalized now at this point, but damn, the South back in those days. I lived in Fort Lauderdale for a while, and things were pretty progressive back then, even in the 70s. But I did live up in Gainesville for a while, and I used to like to go to the national state parks up there, Itchytuckney River and whatever. And boy, some of those towns up there, and I always said to people, northern Florida is just deeper south than Georgia.
Oh yeah. I feel for anybody under the shadow of DeSantis. I definitely feel for. Joe, I appreciate you very much. Be safe out there, okay? The Uncanny Valley of Artificial People by David Teachouts. Okay, removing from the screen, going over here. Is it Alam who is calling on the internet via a web link? Are you there?
Hello.
Hey, how do I pronounce your name? Is it Alam?
Yes, you can pronounce it however you
Well,
want.
how do you pronounce it? I want to get close.
Oh, I pronounce it Alam.
Alam. Wonderful. Thanks for calling. What's on your mind?
Oh, no, just nothing. I just started I've been thinking about this whole AI thing. And I remember you posted something, I think it was on Instagram, whether AI can have consciousness. And I've been thinking about the quote-unquote soul. I think as atheists, we don't have much reason to think AI cannot have a quote-unquote soul, because a sufficiently advanced AI could be indistinguishable from a way the human brain operates, don't you think? I don't know. I want to know your.
Are we conflating soul and consciousness? Most people believe the soul is an extra natural, separate thing beyond the physical brain, right? It's the brain soul or the mind soul. It's a dualistic model. Do you think that souls exist beyond the physical brain?
Oh, no, that's what I'd say, quote unquote,
I
souls.
see.
A lot of people think souls and consciousness is some kind of synonym. I don't
Okay.
think that's the case, but I think maybe if AI can get to the point that can simulate perfectly the human brain, I don't think we have a reason not to start making laws to protect AI in a way.
I've had conversations in my own mind about it, and I'm not trying to be a politician about it, but I go back and forth. If we see the brain as a computer that does calculations, and we see computers themselves that we have made that increasingly do calculations at a faster and faster rate, could then a computer become self-aware? And I I th- I'm not convinced. How do I say this? I won't say it's not. I won't say it's impossible, because we see the brain is the mind, and our minds simply are calculation machines. And I think feelings and consciousness, all those things are part of the calculations. I'm not convinced. Now, I don't think it's going to happen anytime really soon, but could we develop technology that is able to calculate so deeply and so fast that it does become self-aware? I I can't discount it. I could be totally wrong. This is not my field. What do you think? You think we'll make sentient conscious computers?
I think it's possible. I don't know if I will see that in my lifetime, but I think it's really possible.
Well, it's something to watch. Was there anything else, my friend?
No, I think that would be it. I mean, thank you for taking my call, and also I wanted to say that I really admire your work and all that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. I see you're calling from Mexico. Be safe down there, my friend. Okay.
Yeah, same to you.
All right. We'll see you later. Imagine
Right.
what it must be like
Goodbye.
watching this country from across the border, looking up, going, "Oh my, what the, you know what I'm saying?" Toughen up, Fluffy on chat said computers have to have experience to become sentient. They can't have experience outside of their own programming. That's out of my pay grade. I'm telling you, out of my pay grade. Patrick has gifted a membership to the channel. You are much appreciated. Godwin has sent a super chat. Two related sci-fi movies and shows, Wild Palms and Looker, relate to our conversation today. Fluffy again says, unplug, turn off, walk away, experience reality. Godwin says, now AI video, mock marginalized race with fake actors. Oh, Godwin, you may be talking about the racist AI videos that have been posted by the White House account or by Donald Trump on Truth Social, where they have their political opponents. Was it Hakeem Jeffries? And they put a sombrero and there was like Mexican music, and it was just as racist as the day is long. And this has, of course, been so normalized that hardly anybody in this country, at least in MAGA, they didn't even blink. Oh, yay, racism. Yay, AI videos of our political opponents doing untoward things or whatever. This is where we are. This is where we are. Let's see. I've got is it a geopolitical analyst bringing in a web call to the show today? And how do I pronounce your name?
It's Ditso. We've
Ditso.
spoken before a couple times.
All right.
Yeah,
Now speak nice and loud so I can hear you, my friend. Go ahead.
All right. How are you doing today, Seth?
I'm well. What's on your mind?
You well? Well, as I put it on the topic of question, in topic, it's Marketism or McCarthy, MAGA edition or Trump edition. What's happening today in the United States? It's nothing. It's not unprecedented because your country has lived through that type of persecution and prosecution against those they deemed enemies of the state, just like what happened right after the end of the World War II and even before. So you said something about the color of Mexico. How are we seeing it from the optics of outside the United States? And to be honest, the majority of us are seeing it as, they've gone back to do the same thing they were been doing for past 165 years, if not more. So that's how the optics is being seen from the outside. It's like, it's normal for the United States to be like that.
McCarthyism, for the few who may not be aware, Joseph McCarthy was an anti-communist zealot who blacklisted people in the entertainment industry and in government. They had these big show trials calling people communists during the Red Scare of the mid-20th century. This was the witch hunt of that decade. And they bring people forward. Have you ever been part of the Communist Party? Have you ever attended a communist meeting? And it was very much the same flavor what we're hearing today. Are you an anti-American? Are you a traitor to this country? Because if you are, you're going to be deleted, canceled, punished, maybe imprisoned. That was McCarthyism then. And I think we are definitely seeing McCarthyism again in this country. That was your point, right, Ditso?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, to be sincere, you ain't no different from what has happened throughout our history in Latin America. You're just living it in your own way, Yeah. Of course, the things we've lived in Latin America aggravated by the interventionism of the United States, but at the end, the United States is not different from us. They're living through your political crisis because of the different factors that have been degrading into your reality. How to put it in simple words, how bipartisan systems end up like what they are happening today in Venezuela, what has happened in Venezuela, what happened in Nicaragua, what's happened in Mexico, what happened in now in the United States. That is the core of the issue. The bipartisan model of politics degrades into what you're living today.
What is old is new again. How many witch hunts has humankind seen throughout its history? All we can do is push back and fight back. Ditso, you're much appreciated. I wish you all safety and goodness wherever you are, okay?
Thank you. Yeah, we're preparing for war against the United States because of the Venezuela situation. Even though I hate Maduro, if we're preparing for invasion in the next few months.
I wish I could apologize for 380 million people. Okay, I apologize. Actually, it's half or what's MAGA? What's the percentage of MAGA right now? It's in the 30s. So I'd like whatever 30 some percent of the population I'd like to apologize for, my friend. You're greatly appreciated. We'll talk again, okay?
You too. Thank you.
All right, we'll see you. The No Kings protests are happening on the 18th, a week from Saturday, whatever that is. Thousands of separate protests are happening in cities all across the country and in other countries all around the world, resisting tyrants and saying, we are not a theocracy, we are not a monarchy, this shit ain't gonna fly. And I will be out there with my placard, with my sign, with a video camera. Last time I went out to a No Kings event a few months ago, Forrest Valkai was there. We just bumped into each other. He's doing a TikTok stream. Hey, what's up, Forrest? And he spins around with his camera. Next thing I know, without realizing it, I'm on his TikTok channel. Oh, hi, everybody. I just came to say hi to Forrest. I may bump into him at the No Kings thing. in Tulsa. So I'm going to try to document that, but participate. A lot of people say it makes no difference. It's all just a bunch of performance that doesn't result in any. I disagree. I think our faces have to be seen, our voices have to be heard. I worry a little bit that there were going to be inciters of violence, and I'm not talking about the No Kings people. I'm talking about people who want to come in and paint us as those domestic terrorists we were talking about, the people who were a danger, and they're going to engage in some kind of provocation. They're going to catch it on video. They're going to spin it however they want. And then they're going to say that the No Kings movement is like Antifa, is a danger to democracy, Christianity, and the great country of America. And then they're going to start passing edicts and decrees and all those types of things. And I worry people, there are actually protocols that are being promoted by, I think, 5051 and some other places that give guidelines. Here are ways to prevent, to de-escalate, to not get sucked in, to not let someone else set a hook and get you involved in something that you want no part of. Here's how to deal with someone who is provocative. Here's how to not get into a violent exchange in any way. If the cops show up, do this, don't do that. Here's what to say. Here's what your rights are. It's really useful stuff. I think 5051 has those types of recommendations out there. You can just Google search them. No Kings recommendations. I'm sure something will pop up. Anyway, I'll be there on the 18th with my people, and I hope you can find your people as well. And that's going to do it for our time slot today. And it's been an honor to hang out. Thank you so much for being, my bartender, listening to me wail and complain and whatnot. And if you like the work here, and if you appreciate content creators like me, support them on Patreon. Support them on Patreon. I'm telling you, it is the one thing that is a direct connect. I mean, Patreon they take a percentage like PayPal and everybody else does, but their platform is amazing. And it's easy to use, and you can set your own terms, and it's not about ads and advertisers. It's about, hey, I like this channel. I like this content. I want to make sure it's still here in a week. I'm going to support it for the cost. Did I just say support? I'm going to support it for, the cost of a cheeseburger and fries every month or every week. And it's been a great, great option. So become a patron, patreon.com/Seth Andrews. I will see you